Hey guys, Brad here. Just wanted to record this short video because there's been some interest expressed in seeing what a basic home recording setup might look like. All of us are dealing from an unfamiliar position here. None of us have soundproofed rooms that are carved into the side of a mountain with beautiful professional equipment that we can record this stuff on. So we're kind of dealing with the equipment that maybe we had on hand and the kind of stuff that we can use to do this. So that said, this is not anything even approaching a professional setup. It's barely an amateur setup. The other thing is, I want to make very clear that I am neither saying nor implying that my setup is the right way or the best way to do something. It's the setup that I have, it works for me, and that's really all that I'm saying. I just want to give an example of one way that you guys can do this. There are myriad ways to do it. I would encourage anybody who wants to look into equipment, read reviews, talk to other people who record any of that kind of stuff. Make the right decision for you. With that said, let's take a look at what I'm working with. All right, so let's talk about the equipment that I have when I record. Again, not saying or implying that what I have or what I use is the best. There are all kinds of different pieces of equipment at all kinds of different price points. Go out, look at reviews, talk to people who record. Make your own decisions on what you want to get. This is just an example of what I personally use. It works well for me, definitely not the only option. So the microphone that I use right here, you'll see it's a Blue Yeti. Blue is the brand. You can get those on Amazon. They're not super expensive. They're like 125 bucks. Really not a big deal. You'll see also that I have a pop filter on top. The pop filter really, it's not something that's necessary, especially when you're recording music, because you're going to be far enough back from the microphone that you're probably not going to pop your plosives on the mic. But I also do some voice stuff for podcasting and that kind of thing, and it is it's very helpful for those kinds of situations where you're going to be naturally close to the mic. Now, the thing that you see behind here, it's just a standard sound shield. I got this one from Monoprice, which, monoprice.com. Again, it's not something that's super expensive. It's certainly not a substitute for soundproofing or anything even resembling that. But what it can do is it can help avoid the sound bouncing off the various things in your non-ideal space. I'm here in the kitchen, so there's all kinds of sounds bouncing around, and it can mitigate that to some extent. It's just one of those things. You try to incrementally help the limitations that you have inherent in the space that you're working in. The other main thing that I have here that you'll see is earphones. Now, really any kind of earphone or headphone will work for what we're doing to record music for mass. The important thing is when you listen to the accompaniment track, you can't have that bleed over into your recording. That's why I prefer earphones to headphones. There's no danger of that happening. So you'll see the ones that I have, these are the same ones that I use when I play guitar at mass. The brand is Shure, S-H-U-R-E. There are, Sennheiser also makes some really good in-ear monitors, but if you just have a regular old pair of headphones, that is 100% okay too. That will definitely work for this application. Now, one thing that you can do, I personally don't do it because I prefer to be wired. You can use Bluetooth headphones for this application, and the reason is you're recording your audio separately, and that's going to be mixed in later. If you were trying to be synced up with an audio track that you're recording directly to, then you would definitely not want to use Bluetooth. You would want to use something wired because the latency would throw things off by just enough to make it sound terrible. But since Angela is taking the individual tracks of just vocals and mixing them down herself, she syncs up the time, so you can. I still think it's better to use wired, but if you don't have wired headphones that you can use, then Bluetooth headphones, AirPods, whatever you have will certainly work. So let me move on now to the star of the show, and that is the computer that I use. So you can see I have the microphone plugged in via USB, and I have the earphones plugged in there. So I use a Mac for all of my music recording. Again, it's not the only thing you can use. It's what I'm comfortable with. I find it super intuitive. GarageBand is a built-in program. You don't have to pay anything extra for it, and it makes things like stupidly easy. I don't know if you can really see on the screen. I have a privacy filter on it, so it's kind of hard to see, but what I have here is the Centeno Gloria and the recordings that we did of that. So I have my guitar track, I have my singing track, and I have Wendy's singing track on here as well. And all you have to do, and I'll just do a quick demonstration. So you pick your audio track, let's say audio 5 here, this nice blank audio track, and you hit the record button, and it will record whatever you're doing. So you see, I'm going to move over to the microphone so that you can see the peaks. One of the most important things when you're doing this is you don't want to explode. So if I get really close and I overdrive the microphone, you'll see those peaks go up, and that is a recipe for disaster. It will sound absolutely terrible on the recording. Angela will not be able to use it if you do that. But you can see the levels that you're recording at, and this track here, the one that's labeled Gloria Centeno, is the accompaniment track. So all you would really do is have that one active, which I don't, so bad example, but you just unmute it. So through your handy dandy earphones, you hear that. You sing into this microphone, it records it automatically, but then when you are done, all you have to do is, you don't have to go back to the beginning, but I always do, you unmute whatever tracks you want to export, right? So in this case, it's this lovely singing track that I just did. So all you got to do, share, export song to disk, and it'll pop up a dialog, and here it's a Holy Thursday folder. Save it as a WAV file, as a when you do that export function. That's all you got to do. It's that simple. So I'm sure that there is some program for Windows that also does this. I have little doubt. I'm not expecting anybody to go out and buy a MacBook just to do this, although I highly encourage anyone who needs a laptop to maybe go to apple.com and buy one, because they're awesome. But if all you have is Windows, I'm sure that you can effectively do this as well. I know that GarageBand exists for iOS, so you can do it on your iPad or iPhone. I've never done it, so I honestly have no idea if it's as robust, if you can do exactly the same things. I know you can't plug the same things into it that you can with a computer, so again, I don't know, but this is how I do it. That's all the equipment that I have. Like I said, it's super simple. It's a microphone, headphones, and a computer is really all you actually need. You don't need the sound shield, you don't need a pop filter. You can have a pair of very inexpensive headphones that will do the job every bit as well for what we're trying to do here as the monitor headphones that I have. So and I'm sure that there are some very reasonably priced microphones that are available on Amazon, Best Buy, Walmart, whatever, that will also do the job as well as this microphone that I happen to have. So the barrier of entry is not super high if you want to do this. I know it can be hard to source things right now because shipping delays, all that kind of thing, but really it's not a super difficult process to knock this stuff out. So that's really it. Like I said, I think you see how simple it is, how you don't have to have a recording studio in your house in order to knock out recordings that will turn out very well. The one thing that you can't fix with equipment is talent. I don't have a lot of musical talent, but what I can do is I can have my terrible singing and mediocre guitar playing sound as good as it possibly can, and it's not something that takes an enormous amount of effort, and it doesn't take an enormous amount of expense to do it as well if you want to. I can't speak for Angela, but I'm sure that she's very happy for people to participate in any way that they can. So I certainly don't want anybody to feel obligated to go out and buy a bunch of stuff just to do this. But I just wanted to show everybody that it's not necessarily a massive outlay of money, and it's not a massive outlay of time to do it. I know that if it's something that you're not familiar with, it can be the kind of thing that seems like, oh geez, I'm going to have to go out and spend hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars, and it's going to take me 2 weeks to learn how to do it. It's really not like that. It's, at least with GarageBand, it's very intuitive, it's very easy to use. The skill barrier of entry is very low. And whatever kind of equipment you might happen to have or that you might be able to get, it'll help things turn out really well. And again, I'm sure there's some program on Windows that allows you to do something very similar. So anyway, I hope this is helpful. You guys have a lot more musical talent than I do, which is a low bar, I understand. But you guys have the hard part already knocked out of the way. So maybe if this helped your ability to ramp up on the technology side, then hey, I'm happy that I was able to help. Anyway, enjoy singing, and I guess I'll hear you on Palm Sunday.